Amina rose before dawn, weary of another day's toil. She wrapped her thin shawl around her shoulders and stepped into the dusty courtyard. Her stepmother glared as she handed Amina a heavy clay jug. Her stepsister sneered, arms crossed, mocking Amina's limp as she struggled with the weight. Without a word, Amina bowed her head, forced a small sigh, and trudged toward the well. Each footstep echoed her mother's harsh words. "You'll owe your obedience in marriage to any man who pay your bride price." Amina's heart pounded with quiet defiance. Under the blazing sun, Amina knelt before her stepmother and stepsister in the courtyard. The village elder stood nearby, scroll in hand. "This is the proposal," her stepmother declared, pointing to the parchment. Amina's heart sank as she read the fine print. She was to marry the wealthy, elderly trader Kamalo by month's end. Her stepsister, clad in brighter cloth, smirked eagerly. The elder's voice droned on of dowries and obligations. Amina's jaw trembled as she pictured a life tied to a man thrice her age. She forced a polite nod but vowed in silence she would never consent. Amina lowered the jug into the ancient stone well, water rippling as she drew it up. Villagers gathered nearby, murmuring as her stepmother and stepsister exchanged smug glances. "She's too weak for a princess," one woman hissed. Amina's cheeks burned, but she forced steady breaths, focusing on her task. Each bucketful she lifted felt like a defiance against their cruelty. Her mind replayed her mother's harsh decree: she must marry old Kamalo. Yet here, drawing water with strength and dignity, Amina felt the stirrings of hope. Someday, she vowed, whispers of her true worth would silence their scorn. Under flickering lamplight inside her grandmother's humble hut, Amina knelt on a woven mat, eyes brimming with tears. The air smelled of millet porridge and clay smoke. Her grandmother placed a gentle hand on Amina's brow, voice low but firm. "You are not for sale, child. No matter what they demand, you deserve more than chains of duty." Amina's heart thundered as hope kindled. Here was someone who believed in her worth. Outside, the village's late-night calls of nocturnal animals mingled with distant laughter. Amina straightened her back, resolve solidifying. She would stand for her own future. Late afternoon heat hum heavy as a royal messenger arrived with urgent news for every household. In Amina's courtyard, he unrolled a worn parchment and read in a clear, commanding voice, "Eligible young women were summoned to present themselves at the capital for a chance to be chosen by the king." Amina's stepmother's eyes glittered with ambition as she squeezed her stepsister's arm. Amina sat on a clay jar, heart pounding, her spirit both wary and hopeful. She clenched her fists in her lap, determined to seize any chance to escape Kamalo's fate. The future suddenly felt within reach. In the palace training grounds, Amina stood among the chosen women as the chief attendant demonstrated proper posture and elocution. Golden sunlight filtered through open archways, casting long shadows on the courtyard's cobblestones. Amina's heart pounded as she mimicked the attendant's graceful gestures, voice steadying as she spoke the ritual greeting. Nearby, other hopefuls whispered and corrected each other's stances. Amina's eyes flicked to her stepsister, whose confident smile faltered under the attendant's critical gaze. With each deliberate step and gracious bow, Amina felt her inner strength bloom. This was her chance to outshine doubt and claim her own destiny. The courtyard fell silent as Amina was brought before the young king, his golden crown gleaming in the afternoon light. She bowed low, skirts brushing the stone tiles, and felt the weight of countless eyes upon her, courtiers, candidates, and her relentless stepfamily among them. The king's gaze was kind but discerning. He measured her posture, her humility, her unwavering resolve. Amina lifted her head, meeting his eyes squarely. In that pulse of stillness, she sensed her destiny shift. This king saw her strength, not her burdens. A hush of anticipation rippled through the crowd as she rose, heart alight with hope. As dusk settled, Amina returned to the village, her heart still soaring from the king's favor. But her stepsister Zara intercepted her by the clay ovens, face flushed with fury. "You think you're special," Zara spat, fists clenched. Amina's grandmother looked on helplessly from the doorway. Zara shoved Amina against the rough wall. accusing her of stealing a chance meant for their family. "Oh," Amina pressed a hand to her chest, voice calm but firm. "I earned this by my own strength." Zara's eyes narrowed. She scoffed and stormed off, leaving Amina shaken but resolute. In that moment, Amina understood that true obstacles often came from home. Under the dim glow of a crackling fire, Amina packed her small basket with the simple essentials she would carry to the palace. Her grandmother sat beside her on a low stool, voice soft yet resolute. "Go, child, and show the king the strength in your heart." Villager silhouettes watched from the shadows, their whispered blessings carried on the night breeze. Amina's fingers trembled as she tied the cloth bundle, but her eyes shone with newfound conviction. She rose, basket in hand, and turned toward the path that led beyond the village gates. Ahead lay a destiny forged by her own courage, and nothing would turn her back now. At the palace gates at dawn, Amina joined the other candidates as they were led into the grand hall. Before them stood a low table laden with an assortment of simple tasks, sorting grains, folding fine linens, and arranging fresh flowers in a delicate vase. The chief attendant's voice echoed, "Your grace and humility will guide you as much as skill." Amina bowed her head, then set to work with careful precision, her hands steady and respectful. Across the table, her stepsister fumbled arrogantly, knocking over a vase. Whispers rippled among the onlookers. Amina met the attendant's approving glance. Her quiet competence spoke louder than any boast. In the palace courtyard's quiet recess, the candidates were given simple food to share: flatbreads, fruits, and bowls of grain. Amina noticed a timid young woman, Timi, hesitating at the edge of the circle. Gently, Amina tore off a piece of bread and handed it across, offering a warm smile. Timi's eyes brightened as she accepted it, gratitude softening her features. Nearby, other hopefuls nodded with approval, and the chief attendant observed from a shaded archway, a hint of respect in her gaze. In that act of generosity, Amina discovered that true nobility shines through compassion, and forged an ally for the challenges ahead. When the morning sun stretched across the palace courtyard, Amina was summoned once more before the king. She approached his ornate chair with measured steps, heart steady. The king inclined his head and spoke softly, "You have shown kindness, humility, and skill. Tell me what you seek." Amina paused, gathering her courage. "Your Majesty," she began, voice clear, "I seek not luxury, but the chance to serve our people with integrity. I wish to build a future where duty is honored and compassion guides our rule." The king's eyes shone with approval, and a hush fell over the gathered court as he rose to offer his hand. A hush fell as Amina's words lingered in the golden morning light. The king rose from his seat, his crown glinting. He scanned the assembled court, noblewomen, attendants, and her stepfamily, waiting breathless. Then he turned to Amina, extending his hand and voice warm with conviction. "You have shown the heart of a true leader. Rise, Lady Amina, as my chosen queen." Gasps rippled through the courtyard. Amina felt her grandmother's proud gaze and even Zara's stunned shock. With trembling grace, she accepted his hand. In that sacred moment, Amina's courage and compassion had forged her destiny, and a new era for the kingdom. With the king's decree echoing through marble arches, Amina stood at his side as the court erupted in celebration. Banners unfurled, trumpets sounded, and villagers cheered from the terraces. The morning light bathed the courtyard in golden warmth, symbolizing hope reborn. Amina raised her hand to the crowd, her heart swelling with pride and humility. Zara watched in stunned silence, her envy quelled by awe. The king placed a delicate circlet upon Amina's brow, binding her destiny to the realm's future. In that triumphant moment, Amina embraced her role, not as a pawn of duty, but as a queen chosen by compassion and courage. Queen Amina returned to her village at dawn, flanked by loyal guards but walking unguarded to the familiar clay huts. Her grandmother met her at the gate with tears of joy. Villagers lined the path, offering flowers and blessings. Amina raised her hand in greeting and spoke firmly, "I vow our kingdom stands for justice and compassion. My reforms will ensure no one suffers in silence." Applause rippled through the crowd as she announced land distributions, grain relief, and elders' councils. In that moment, her journey came full circle, from a forced marriage to a just queen, fulfilling her grandmother's promise and her own destiny. In the village's newly refurbished meeting hall, Amina convened the first council of elders. She sat at the head of a long wooden table, her grandmother to one side, Timi and the other compassionate candidates opposite. Farmers, artisans, and healers filled the benches beyond. Amina opened the session with a respectful nod. "Today, we shape our laws not by force, but by listening." One by one, villagers spoke of challenges: drought relief, fair trade, and care for the elderly. Amina recorded each proposal, her steady hand a symbol of her promise. As discussions unfolded, the council's energy shifted from wary respect to collaborative resolve, forging a governance rooted in unity. Under the midday sun, Amina stood before the newly built communal granary on the village outskirts. Its sturdy walls and raised floor spoke of resilience against drought. Farmers and laborers gathered as Amina addressed them. "This reserve will ensure no family goes hungry in lean years." She traced a finger along rows of neatly stored sacks, each labeled by village subdivision. The chief farmer stepped forward, bowing respectfully. "Your foresight honors our toil, Your Majesty." Amina nodded, turning to overseeing boys bringing fresh harvest. In that moment, the granary symbolized more than grain. It was proof that compassion, paired with action, could sustain an entire realm. By the light of a new dawn, Amina inaugurated the village's first combined school and clinic. The modest building's walls bore murals of healing herbs and flowing water, symbols of knowledge and care. Children in simple robes clutched slates, while elders and mothers carried infants to the clinic's entrance. Amina stepped before the assembled crowd, voice gentle yet resolute. "Here, minds will grow and bodies will heal." She opened the door to reveal a teacher at a chalkboard and a healer preparing herbal poultices. Murmurs of gratitude rippled through the villagers. In that shared space of learning and health, Amina's vision of a compassionate, enlightened kingdom took tangible form, ensuring every citizen could thrive. As the sun dipped low, the village square brimmed with music and dance to celebrate the year's harvest and the kingdom's progress. Amina presided over the festival in a simple embroidered gown, standing beneath colorful banners representing each village district. Drummers beat steady rhythms while women in patterned dresses spun in joyous circles and children chased lanterns that glowed like fireflies. Amina moved among her people, accepting gifts of produce and hearing their laughter. Even Zara joined the celebration, offering a basket of fresh millet. In that shared jubilation, where old wounds were forgotten in collective joy, Amina saw the true fruit of her reign, a community bound by hope, compassion, and unity. Months later, Amina walked the palace gardens with her grandmother, now elders of the realm. Blossoms framed a stone plaque inscribed with the council's founding principles: justice, unity, compassion. Villagers, farmers, healers, scholars passed by in respectful greeting, their lives forever changed. Amina knelt to water a young sapling, symbol of growth rooted in empathy. Her grandmother placed a hand on her shoulder. "You kept your promise." Amina smiled, eyes bright with purpose. Beyond the walls, the village and kingdom thrived in harmony. As dusk settled, the queen looked toward the horizon, knowing her reign would be remembered not for crowns or conquest, but for uplifting every heart under her care.